It shouldn't be easy. This should be hard. The spring should be hard. Training camp should be hard. Anything worth doing is hard. So it's going to take a lot of work. It's going to take a lot of effort. In particular, year one, we should not be comfortable as we're coming into the springtime. We're going to load these guys up. We're going to see what they can handle. We're going to fail, and that's okay. That's part of how you learn and how you grow and you get better. And so we're going to encourage that as a coaching staff. So nothing about this is about making it easier. So yeah, it's going to be fun.
Let's take it back to a simpler time. It's week 6. The Bears are in London, 8 a.m. in Chicago, and we just took our first shot at Duce. Many touchdowns later, many shots later, I asked them what they like about this team, and they say the vibes. They weren't wrong until everything went wrong. Fast forward to March 2025, and we're in a whole new world. The pre-bye week Bears of 2024, just a wisp of a memory, lost in the cloud of team overhauls and Duce dalliance. With Samir out this week celebrating his birthday, shout out Samir, I wanted to bring on a few special guests who also danced with the Duce that morning. Lone Star Daddy and a man still in search of his podcast nickname. So, what have we learned about the Bears this week?
What have we learned about the Bears this week? We learned that Ben Johnson will attend a pro day. I think he was spotted at Michigan's pro day, which isn't surprising. I think they have a couple potential first round picks, but he's out there. He's out there. He's in these streets. He's doing some scouting, so it's good to see. And yeah, I think they have a few potential first rounders. One that we may talk about a little bit later as a potential Bears pick. They have a couple, to be honest. They have a couple people that could go at number 10 to the Bears.
Are coaches not seen at pro days a lot?
I think they are. And I think Eberflus did attend a few, but it was notorious. I think I had seen a couple articles that he wasn't seen at any pro days. And so it was a thing, but he was spotted a couple days ago.
It also does seem a little different with Ben Johnson at a pro day and Eberflus at a pro day, as we've been kind of comparing the two coaches. It's like, someone who maybe knows what's up and someone who's just there to kick it and hang out and, not know what's up in many ways. Shout out Eberflus, big fan, but, we're in a new world now.
Yeah, Ben Johnson gives shark vibes for sure. Like, like you got something's going down at this pro day, right? Yeah, he gives those vibes, that's for sure.
Lone Star Daddy, off to you, man.
Yeah, so I think piggybacking off of that, I didn't even know anything about him going to a pro day, but for sure there's like an extremely obvious difference between just even the way Eberflus and Ben Johnson talk at their press conferences. You can tell just the fire that Ben Johnson has, honestly, like just the clip that you played to start this episode. You would never hear Eberflus talk anything like that. So, yeah, I mean, honestly, I can't say that I have any love for Eberflus or even last year had that much love for him towards the end. But I think he was a good stepping stone to where we are now for sure. But yeah, going back to what you started with too, the vibes, going back to that Jacksonville game, I don't think they could have been any higher at the at the end of that game. I think we all thought at that point that the Bears were for sure they're going to make the playoffs this year with a rookie quarterback. And then the vibes kind of went pretty much as low as they could get the rest of the way after that.
I mean, we were planning on going to Washington to watch. I mean, honestly, if we had a jet that went at supersonic speed, I feel like we would have jumped into that thing and flown to London in that moment. Shit was high. We were rocking and rolling. It was like it was crazy, man. I can't keep going back to just like I was watching clips as I was prepping for this, just like watching clips of what people were talking about from that game. I think it's like I don't listen to ESPN that much, but I think Jay Hood was like the defense looked great, the offense looked great, Cole
Like,
Kmet looked great, everybody looked
Tommy
great.
Waddle was all over him. Oh yeah, Waddle
yeah.
Waddle was all over.
Yeah, I mean, and I think just ultimately too, just what Caleb Williams did in that game, that was basically like the coming out party, because he had some okay games before that, but then all of a sudden to come out, and I think he threw for 4, but could have been 5 if I think the one went down at like the 1 or something like that. And yeah, everybody was like, okay. I mean, it was against Jacksonville too, which I think everybody kind of forgot because it was just like, oh shit, we're playing this well just in general. But I mean,
Yeah.
and as a Bears fan, we haven't seen offense like we saw in that game in a long time. So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
but
Okay. So given
yeah.
all of that, sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, and I was just gonna say basically where the vibe's gone now is I think they've kind of brought us back to not that level of the Jacksonville game, but definitely, like I was telling you before we started recording, how I told myself I'm not going to get my hopes up about the Bears this year because every year they do this to me and then they crush me. And so I kept telling myself, I'm not going to do that this year. I'm not going to do that this year. And then Ryan Poles just literally pulled, I think, for the most part, every right string that he could this offseason, and getting the offensive line right, adding a defensive end to, help out Montez on the other side, adding that third wide receiver. They pretty much did exactly, if I was the GM, he almost did exactly what I feel like I would have done, which then, of course, gives you hope again.
Yeah. Mr. Nickname, who we don't have a nickname for yet. I feel like I've like, before I did this podcast, I would like kind of watch the Bears through you in many ways, and you were sort of my like I was learning and shaking and still am. But like, I feel like we've gone through this like up and down of like how we feel about Ryan Poles, and Ryan Poles we trust, and then it disappears and it goes and it disappears and it goes. And last year, and kind of started to wane in our trust, and it's back. Where are you at with your trust of him and
My
ability to lead
yeah,
us?
yeah, my faith in Ryan Poles. It was the other Ryan whom I had faith in and then waned and then really, really super waned and then tanked. It was the other RP
Super
that I was
Wayne.
like, yeah, this guy could be president. Sign me up. He's coming from a Saints organization that won something. He just posture was great. I was like that, yeah, But no, Poles, there's been nothing he's done aside from some bumps, learning curve bumps, being new to the role as a GM.
And not
I,
firing Eberflus at the end of the year before.
but I've also heard reports that he wanted to, and it was Uncle Mike who ended up getting out of the way this year, which I think is also a sign of a different organization. Um, yeah, I think they're doing things different. I think the vibe is definitely where it was at for that London game, if not better, to be quite honest. They have a lot of flexibility going into the draft. These moves solidified that, right? They got a lot their interior offensive line check. I think they got some pieces to go on the defensive line. Um, I do think that's something that should be addressed in the draft, but they have a lot of flexibility.
Yeah, I can kind of piggyback off of that. Honestly, Ryan Poles, I haven't had an issue with much that he's done. Besides, like I said, I thought Eberflus should have been fired, and then I don't think anybody ever really understood the third round pick for Chase Claypool. That was kind of a mystery too. But besides those two things, yeah, I think I have never really waned on Ryan Poles. Yeah, Abel might have been the only person in Chicago that had not given up on Ryan Pace at a certain point and kept
No,
praising him
all
for
right,
whatever
hold on.
reason. I was not one of those people, but yeah, Ryan Poles, man, yeah, I mean, every GM's going to make mistakes, but I think the big things he's done well. So it's hard to, yeah, I mean, it's Chicago, so you mess up one thing, you're going to get bashed. So, and we're used to that because we've been Chicago sports fans our whole lives. But yeah, I mean, besides those two things, I can't think of much else that really Ryan Poles has disappointed me about, unless I'm just like blanking on some stuff.
No, I mean, I think, my goodness, thank goodness they released him at some point in the year. I forgot his name already. What was the offensive lineman that just wouldn't practice? This is not good.
Uh,
What was his name? He's probably going to get signed by another team. He came from the Titans.
Nate Davis?
oh, Nate Davis.
Yes,
Yeah.
Nate Davis. Jeez, well done, my Chicago Bears brain, to move on from that so quickly. Nate Davis was another disappointment. I think there was a Bengals tackle who failed his physical. That was also just a little bit of kind of a whiff. Missed out on some free agents earlier that season too. Chase Claypool. A couple of his draft picks haven't been stellar. Did take a punter, let's not forget, in the fourth round.
Yeah.
He took a couple linemen and interior defensive tackles that haven't, really quite done anything early rounds of the draft. These aren't sixth or seventh round picks. So I think, but he has some work to do. But, he also has executed one of probably the greatest trades in NFL history. He's also turned around a franchise in probably under 2 years, especially if you're considering last year a disappointment. He has a franchise QB installed. He has a coaching staff that's, finally worthy of coaching in Chicago. That's a whole nother discussion why they should stay in Chicago. But I think he's done a good job minus a few bumps.
Yeah, that's true. I didn't really consider how terrible the offensive line was last year, and he basically put together a bunch of like third tier guys to try to just make that work, and that kind of definitely blew up in his face a little bit. But I don't know if that was kind of a game plan for him based on just trying to have as much cap space as he could this year. I don't know, but I think knowing that he was going to draft Caleb Williams, he probably should have put some better talent out there to try to protect him and not get him sacked 60 times. But I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if that was ultimately like a plan of his to be able to throw money this year like he did at a bunch of the free agent guys and make trades that he did. I don't know. But yeah, definitely the offensive line is definitely another suspect. It's kind of a suspect kind of thing that he worked out last year.
Yeah, not the greatest, and I hope that wasn't on purpose, and that either some of the other additions never really panned out, and so he kind of threw things at the wall to stick at a position or at positions that probably should have been of most importance. He did some other things right, and he diverted money to the wide receiver position, which I don't know. Caleb needed all that unless you were trying to win a Super Bowl that year in his first year. So yeah, he could have done some different things. Hopefully, he's learning on the job. I still think overall he's put us in a great position. Him paired with Ben Johnson should be really great. The things they've done already, I think have been good.
Yeah.
Have been really good. Yeah.
Yeah, and I guess this year also really kind of just solidifies, like it just seems like correct decision after correct decision after correct decision that's been lining up. And I'm learning, having done this podcast, that this sport, more than anything, the emotions on a week to week basis, every week kind of means like sort of life or death for the team. It feels like every week matters in so many different ways, and so to ride the highs and lows of that is kind of like ridiculous. But it does seem like, based on this season, based on this offseason, people are making steps in the right direction. Okay, so I wanted to ask, sort of, we're getting, we're not in the end, but I wanted to ask about the Bears' potential move to another not Chicago place, and like, being from here, born here, raised here, maybe move to another place, some of us, but like still wearing Chicago Bears hats in whatever city we are, like we still live in Chicago. Like that move, like what, like, yeah, do these feel like, do you feel like they're staying? Do you feel like they're leaving? What do you think's happening?
Oh, I guess I can start. Well, as just a Chicago sports fan, yeah, you want them to be playing on the lake, where they've always been. Now, I feel like as an older sports fan that now has gone to Bears game, as an older person, I just want the best and most comfortable fan experience.
Oh no.
Like, I'm just going to be honest with you. So they're going to be in a dome regardless, let's say, right? Regardless if it's on the lake or if it's in Arlington Heights, they're going to be in a dome. So there's no more of this like, oh, we're these badass cold weather guys. That's not going to matter anymore. The 40, 50 mile per hour gust off the lake aren't going to matter anymore. So basically, I want more concessions, I want more bathrooms, and I don't want 2 jumbotrons in the whole stadium. Like the Soldier Field, let's just be real. The Bears games are my favorite sporting event to go to. I've been to everything at this point. They are the most fun. I think also just because I've gone so few times. I love going to Bears games. Bears fans are I think the best fans in the world, but I don't want to have to wait in line for 30 minutes to pee and miss the game. And I need more than like 4 options for concession. Like Soldier Field is a terrible fan experience. Like the remodel that they did is pitiful, to be honest. The fact we're even talking about having to get a new stadium after they did a remodel. When was that remodel? 20 years ago?
That's at 20, approaching 25 years ago.
That's embarrassing, though. That's what I'm saying. To do that much of a remodel where your team couldn't play at their stadium for a whole season, had to play at a college stadium, and now between 20 and 25 years later, we're talking about we need a new stadium already. That's insane. And I mean, we all know the backstory about the Bears are the only team in the NFL that don't own their own stadium. They rent it from the Park District, all that stuff. I get why they want a new stadium, but ultimately, I think where it is at this point, I mean, it doesn't really matter to me that much. So
it's because it's a landmark. It's Soldier fucking Field, man. You want the gusts. You want the cold. You want that, apparently, according, thanks to Eberflus, that Kentucky bluegrass chippy.
But that's what I'm saying, though. You're not going to get that regardless.
No.
You're not going to get that. Their new stadium is either going to be on the lake in a dome with another thing too is parking is ridiculous for Soldier Field. We have to walk 40-45 minutes to get to the game to park somewhere reasonable. Like that's absurd, dude. That shouldn't happen. You should park in a parking lot next to the stadium of the game that you're going to. That's it. Like if we don't even have that. So like that's
the
why
long walk,
sorry, go ahead.
The long walk, all I was going to say is the long walk allows you to get a little bit more sober so you don't get kicked out when you get into the stadium. But what were you going to say?
No, I was going to say that. No, I agree with you because it's just what the Bears have always been. The wind, the snow, the cold, like, I'm down in Texas now, so bring your warm weather ass teams up there and you ain't going to play well in fucking 10 degrees and snow. You're not going to beat us there when you're coming from a warm weather place. It's like the Dolphins. They can't win in cold weather, dude. So I get that part, but that's just not an option anymore. So I think at this point, it's just, where is the most feasible place for them to build the best stadium at this point?
And your answer to that is?
Sounds like Arlington Heights.
I just said I don't
Sounds
care.
like fucking Arlington Heights, dog.
I just said, I don't care. I mean, that seems like so let's just be realistic with this too, okay? Like the city of Chicago is never gonna be okay with raising taxes, is never gonna be okay with that kind of stuff. Die-hard Bears fans like my dad that have been a Bears fan his entire life is like, I am not paying more taxes for a team that's worth billions of dollars to build a new stadium. He's like, use your own money and build your own damn stadium. So you're never going to get people that are in the city anyways to ever approve that. You got people in Arlington Heights that have money that are willing to throw it around. They want that stadium out there really bad, man. So I feel like that could be a better option. And I think, like I said, if it's going to be domed regardless, what does it really matter in the end?
You look Kevin Warren in the eyes and you say that all that bullshit. He seems determined, and I am sticking with my man Kev until he falls flat on his ass, because I agree with a lot of things that you're saying. I hope he doesn't fall flat on his ass. Shout out to Kevin Warren. I really respect what he's doing. I do think it's a whole PR thing, because it would have been a really hard transition for a lot of Chicago to just make it in a year, right? And say, all right, now we are moving to Arlington Heights. It's done and we're gone, right? So I do think a part of this is all they've been gone. As soon as they purchase that land, somehow, some way, they're shaking down the whole tax situation in Arlington Heights, right? Saying, all right, we want it at the lakefront. I'll give them that. I don't think it's happening, but I just had to let it be known on record in the neighborhood, right? That I am so against all of this, and I think if the best situation was a domed. Is it going to be a domed Chicago Bears? Then I think it should be on the lake. If he can't make it work on the museum campus, make the Michael Reese lot work, the old hospital site. If that can't work, I don't know. It's going to be disappointing. Honestly,
So
am I going to stop watching the Bears? No. Am I going to like go to Arlington Heights to watch them? Probably eventually going to make my way over there. Is it going to be the same? No. And nobody can tell me it's going to be the same. It's going to suck.
yeah, so it's never going to be the same as Soldier Field, but that's what I'm saying is like, we like, I mean, we like it because we're Bears fans and it's tradition, and that's all we have right now is just like tradition. We don't win games.
Bro, we're on the way out. Give us 20 more years and then go build your dumb shit in Arlington Heights.
Well,
then nobody gives a fuck and all these kids would be happy with it. They don't, I don't know. I'm just guy. Yeah, I get what you're saying.
So hold on. When is the Bears lease up? It's like 2033 or something. They still have time. They're not going to bump out of that lease. Well, I guess technically they could. I guess if they're talking about building a stadium now, you're talking about 3 years maybe before it's ready. So they can still do their thing at Soldier Field at least for a few years, and then still go to a brand new awesome stadium with a great fan experience for everybody that also doesn't only hold 60,000 fans, and it'll probably hold 80,000-90,000 fans. You don't have to freeze your balls off. And honestly, I think the dumbest thing that I ever heard with this whole stadium thing was them talking about putting a dome on top of Soldier Field. That was like the biggest joke that I'd ever heard of in my life, because you want to put like basically a dome over already a crappy stadium that holds 60,000 people. I get I mean, I get it, Abel, but you can't, like you said, you can't disagree with anything I've said about the fan experience at Soldier Field. It's probably one of the worst. It actually probably is the worst in the NFL, because now the Commanders, I've heard their stadium isn't great. They're getting a new stadium. The Bills stadium I heard wasn't great. They're getting a new stadium. All those old, got to wait in line 30 minutes to pee stadiums are going away because people don't want that anymore.
People got to pee, man.
Gotta wait in line 30 minutes to pee. Yeah, I mean, I'll agree with you. The food is it is. I don't know about the NFL, but it is the worst stadium in Chicago as far as like what you're talking about in terms of
100%.
hospitality. Yeah, I would say that, but not as far as like beauty and aesthetics and also how you feel. And that's why you said it yourself. It's still the best sports experience. It's still the game that you like going to most, right? Is a Bears game. So and yeah, and I agree with you. I think, it also makes sense monetarily, for the McCaskies or for whoever's eventually going to buy the Bears, Jeff Bezos, or if any of that is real, or, it makes sense for them financially. It also sounds like, another thing I learned about the Chicago Bears this week. I don't know if it was this week or not, but I'm pretty sure I learned the information this week. He hired a new VP.
Oh, another Big Ten lady.
VP of administration and something else.
It sounded like money management, something.
Right, something to definitely assist with. It's gonna be so they're gone. Something's happening. It's not going to be a dome on Soldier Field, which, by the way, remember they were calling it a spaceship, right? When it's done, just put a dome, just put a lid on the spaceship. I think that would have been perfect. So what they should have done. That was a great angle, actually. But the Park District, same story, right? It's not going to work. It's not going to happen. I agree with you. Financially, also, it makes a bunch of sense. I'm just saying, it's not going to be the same. Shiny lights. It's going to look like a Cowboys game. It's going to look like an NFC East game. It's going to be a little different.
Well, I was gonna say, bottom line is, they should have done the remodel better 20 years ago. If they would have done that, we wouldn't even been having this. We wouldn't be having this conversation at all right now.
Yeah, maybe.
Okay, gentlemen, as we get to the end of today's episode, one, thank you all very much for being on. Really appreciate you all for being on. For those that listen, I've known both of these two boys since we were 12, and now we're in our 30s, and it's been 25 plus years. Basically the same time the Bears remodeled the stadium is about the time probably when I met these guys. So as we close today's episode, I want to send it out to both of y'all. Any final thoughts to the world about the Bears? Anything you'd like to share?
No, we were just, I mean, yeah, the vibe. I feel like the vibe's inching back up to high again. We'll see what they do in the draft in a couple weeks. I really don't feel like you can I don't think you can mess up the 10 pick really, regardless if you go O-line, D-line. If all of a sudden you want to draft Gentry for whatever reason, yeah, I think they still got room to sign a few more guys if they want to. I think, like we said earlier, it's just kind of been the perfect offseason, for the team, starting with the coaching hire and then from there on. So I think it's got everybody's hopes up again as usual, and hopefully they don't crush our dreams again next year. At least be in the playoff mix. That's all I ask, please.
Yeah. So final words is I would say, and to Mathias's point, I feel like I always feel this way every 3-4 years where there's a regime change and we're like the 1 year away. But I do think this is a little different. So I want to give props where props are due. They're doing things a little different, right? And I think it all goes back to the hiring of Ryan Poles. Shout out Mike McCaskey. I think that was like a personal thing of his. I don't know about the Eberflus hire, but they changed the logo. Remember, their primary logo was the C. And he wanted to make it known that they wanted to be serious. Or maybe it was when actually Kevin Warren was brought on. So another shout out to the Chicago Bears. At first, they thought this was going to murky things up. I think it's ended up turning out to be a great pairing, too, of business acumen and football knowledge. They changed the logo. Their primary logo is the bear now. That's never happened before. It was always the C. So there's a little subtle change at noting something different. Yeah, they did hire the hottest head coach candidate. Bears have never done that. They also fired Eberflus in the middle of the year. Bears have never done that. They're spending money. The Bears have never done that. There's a lot of things that they're doing. I just want to let them know I see you, and you're definitely doing things differently. And I can appreciate that. Somebody that's born in the late 80s and then has been a fan of Chicago sports for a long time. So I don't know where this is going to go, but I am optimistic. And shout out to them, man. Also, I really, really was digging the logo change to the primary logo being the actual bear. I think it's really badass. Fuck Arlingtonites.
Well, there you go. Then the bear needs to end up on the helmet then at some point then too, Abel.
See, no, you gotta no. Ask that. I thought about that as an alternate. It would be really badass, but I'm okay with leaving the C. Leave the C, leave the shout out to, old Chicago. And so maybe if they put Roman columns in the Arlington Heights new stadium, I might warm up to it, but they do something like that. So you gotta just, respect tradition, and just sucks for everybody. It's not going to be able to see a game at Soldier Field. Honestly, it is. With everything you're saying, true. Still, like it's an experience.
Abel, when you buy tickets to your next Bears game, when it's the Dome Stadium and it's 30 degrees and raining, you're going to be like, this was the best decision that they ever made, because I would be sitting here freezing in the rain, miserable, watching a Bears game. And instead, I'm having a great time in 70 degrees. And yeah, I think you're going to change your mindset on that. It's not about the stadium, man. It's about the team. And like you said, everything's changing. So this is just one of those changes that's coming with it.
True. Maybe I will too.
Well, thank you both for being on. For Lone Star Daddy, aka Mathias, for the man who does not have a podcast nickname yet, aka Abel. My name is Chirag Rathod. We are the Bears in the Neighborhood, and we will catch y'all next week. Thank you very much for listening.
Appreciate you, Chirag.
I appreciate you, man.
So.